Presently, NBA players are making more money than ever before. With the evidence of Nikola Jokic and Bradley Beal signing, their offseason is worth over $500 million between the two of them. However, back in the 50s and 60s, players weren't paid well, so they had to get second jobs or retire early. An instance is that of Michael Jordan, whose estimated earnings in his entire career are $94 million, whereas a player like Golden State's Andrew Wiggins will make all this money in the third year of his contract. Also, bad financial decisions after retiring cause a huge backlash to some. So in this video, we will be looking at 12 NBA players who have gone broke. But before that, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Number 12. Ray Williams. Ray Williams spent 9 years in the NBA with 6 different franchises. Although he wasn't an all-star in the 1980s when he played, he was still a walking bucket at moments in his career. Almost immediately after his retirement in 1987, things fell apart for him. Throughout his career, Williams accumulated earnings of $2.5 million. Shortly after retirement, Williams fell on hard times and applied for his NBA pension. He was awarded a pension of $200,000, but it wouldn't last long. Williams lost the money in a real estate scam and again was hard on his luck financially. It wasn't long before Williams was taking up residence in a car parked in front of a friend's house in the Boston area. After the Boston Globe did a story on him in 2011, former Celtics teammates reached out to Williams to lend him a helping hand. Williams would get a job as a recreation specialist in Mount Vernon, New York. Sadly, Ray Williams passed away in 2013 as a result of colon cancer. He was 58. Number 11. Sidney Moncrief. It had been estimated that Moncrief earned more than $7 million in his career, which spanned 11 years. Over his career, he was a 5-time NBA All-Star and also the inaugural Defensive Player of the Year. Moncrief was the only guard in NBA history to win the award twice. He was one of the best two-way guards in the league during the 1980s. But what happened to all of that money? After retirement, Moncrief opened a car dealership in his home state of Arkansas and took a job with the Dallas Mavericks as an assistant. Although there are no specifics as to what happened, Moncrief filed for bankruptcy in 2005. His list of creditors includes numerous car dealerships, the Mavs, a bank, and even a local newspaper. It is said that Moncrief's money woes did not last long, as he later became an analyst for Fox Sports and a coach of the Fort Worth Flyers in the NBA G League. Number 10. Christian Laettner. Laettner enjoyed a pretty solid career in the NBA. His first 3.5 seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves were very productive, as he averaged 17.2 points per game and 8.1 rebounds per game. He then went on to have productive stints in Detroit and Atlanta. With the Hawks, he was an All-Star for the only time in his career in 1997, when he put up 18.1 points per game and 8.8 rebounds per game. Laettner's play earned him a bit over $60 million in his career. Following his retirement, Laettner fell into tough financial times. After a series of bad business deals and real estate blunders, Laettner filed for bankruptcy. Not only did he owe $14 million to creditors in North Carolina, but he ended up scamming one of his former teammates as well, Scottie Pippen, who was Laettner's teammate on the 1992 Olympic Dream Team, joined him in a deal that was supposed to lead to the purchase of the Memphis Grizzlies. The group never bought the team, and Pippen's investment was never returned. Pippen ended up suing Laettner and was awarded $2.5 million. Number 9. Darius Miles. Darius Miles was lucky that he got into the league in 2001 straight out of high school. As exciting a player as he was, and with all the hype around him coming into the league, he didn't quite live up to it. He enjoyed some great times with the Clippers for his couple of seasons, and even in Cleveland and Portland after that. By the time he was 24 years old, Miles had been struck by the injury bug. Miles would suffer a knee injury in the 2006 season, which would end up costing him 2 additional seasons of his career. He attempted a comeback in 2009 when he finally recovered. But by that time, he was a complete shell of his former athletic self. Despite injuries and low production, Miles was still able to rake in over $61 million in his career, which ended when he was just 27 years old. In 2016, Darius Miles filed for bankruptcy. He reportedly listed $460,385 in assets, but over $1 million in liabilities. He lost substantial amounts of money in real estate investments and other business deals that crippled the former star and sent him into the red. Number 8. Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson played 14 years in the NBA, most notably with the New Jersey Nets of the early 1990s. The first 4.5 seasons of his career were spent in New Jersey, and it would be with the Nets that he made the only All-Star appearance of his career. Anderson raked in over $60 million in his playing career, but it is rumored to have been nearly gone by the time he retired in 2006. Anderson's money woes can be attributed to any one of many factors. He battled some personal, mental, and emotional issues, including several DUI arrests that certainly dented his wallet. It is also reported that he fathered 7 children from 5 different women. Child support payments and divorce settlements crippled him financially. Number 7. Glenn Rice. Glenn's game on the court has somehow become forgotten over the years. He was a 3-time All-Star who was a proficient scorer in his day, especially with the Heat and Hornets. The first 6 years of his career were spent in South Beach, where he developed into one of the best young scorers in the game. By the time he was through with Charlotte, he was one of the best players in the league. Despite garnering over $68 million, Rice's financial issues were brought on by bad business decisions and monthly child support payments. Rice petitioned the court to lower his monthly support payments so that he could afford to live on his own. Number 6. Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson is very well one of the best power forwards who had his prime cut short. After becoming a star at UNLV, Johnson was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, where he instantly became a fan favorite. Johnson totaled over $85 million in his NBA career, which was cut short by back injuries, and he left the game at just 31 years old. A young retirement was not too friendly to Johnson. His back issues needed expensive surgeries, but were the only way for Johnson to function. By 2015, Johnson had filed for bankruptcy after it was confirmed he owed an overwhelming amount of child support. Number 5. Derrick Coleman. As far as a start to a career could go, Derrick Coleman had one of the most promising in recent memory. He was the number 1 overall pick by the New Jersey Nets, where he spent the first 5 years of his career. He won the 1991 NBA Rookie of the Year award when he averaged 18.4 points per game and 10.3 rebounds per game. Coleman followed that up with a back-to-back All-NBA selections in 1993 and 1994, earning his first and only All-Star nod in '94. He played 10 more seasons for 3 different teams and totaled over $90 million in earnings. However, it didn't take long for it to be gone. Derrick Coleman would retire in 2005, and by 2010, he was filing for bankruptcy. It is unknown how Coleman lost his earnings, but it has always been attributed to an overly lavish lifestyle and excessive partying. Number 4. Shawn Kemp. Anyone who watched NBA basketball in the 1990s knows exactly who Shawn Kemp is. Kemp, along with his teammate Gary Payton, helped bring basketball to prominence in Seattle in the 1990s. It seemed like every night you tuned into a Supersonics game, Kemp was going to throw down a highlight dunk of some sort. He was fast, strong, and incredibly explosive. He made 6 straight All-Star games from 1993 to 1998 and helped Seattle nearly win a championship in 1996. He was rewarded with career earnings of over $91 million in 14 years of service. As of recently, it is reported that Shawn Kemp's net worth has nearly fallen below $1 million. There are a few reasons why Kemp has struggled so much since walking away from the game. He had a myriad of off-the-court legal fees that were enough to dent anybody's wallet. It is also reported that he makes monthly child support payments to 6 different families. Number 3. Latrell Sprewell. Sprewell was one hell of a basketball player with the Warriors and Knicks. The 4-time NBA All-Star was a nightly 20-point threat who was as exciting to watch play as anyone. The issues with his attitude were well documented, especially the infamous choking of his then head coach, P.J. Carlesimo. That didn't stop him from making nearly $100 million in his career. Just 3 years after retirement, it seemed as though Sprewell had lost everything. In 2008, federal marshals seized and repossessed a yacht that Sprewell owned after he failed to keep paying for it. Just months after that, Sprewell's home, worth $1.5 million, went into foreclosure after he defaulted on his mortgage. Number 2. Vin Baker. Vin Baker was one of the most exciting young players of the 1990s. He spent the first few seasons of his NBA career with the Milwaukee Bucks, where he developed into a perennial all-star. Unfortunately for Baker, none of his Milwaukee teams was ever good enough to make the playoffs. Baker only tasted playoff action once he was dealt to Seattle in 1997. He was an All-Star 3 times in Milwaukee and in his first season with the Supersonics. His promising play led to just over $97 million in career earnings. He struggled mightily during and after his career with alcoholism and addiction, which led to a severe financial crisis. Number 1. Antoine Walker. Despite his height of 6 foot 8 inches, Walker was able to find success at the NBA level. He was a 3-time All-Star with the Boston Celtics, and at his peak, he averaged 23.4 points per game and 8.9 rebounds per game. He was also a big contributor to the 2006 Miami Heat team that won an NBA title. His career paid off to the tune of over $105 million. Perhaps the quickest fall from millionaire to broke belongs to Antoine Walker. Just 1 year after winning the championship with Miami, and while he was still attempting to keep his career going with Minnesota, Walker filed for bankruptcy. He admitted that his financial trouble is due to his gambling habits. This wraps up the list of NBA players who have gone broke after earning huge amounts of money. Kindly subscribe to our channel and click on the notification button to get updates on our videos.